Happy Janmashtami, everybody. Welcome to the Paradigm Shift. Today, we're going to be in conversation with the beautiful Melissa Marris. She's a YouTuber and an author. And she will be talking about two things that are very close to my heart, that is veganism and raw food. So, oh, she's here. Let's add her. Hi. Hi.
Oh, hello.
Hello. You're looking lovely.
Oh, thank you very much, as are you.
Thank you so much. Lisa, today is a very auspicious day for us in India because it is the birth of Lord Krishna, and he's going to be born exactly at 12 midnight. So we'll be talking, and he's going to be here, and there's going to be a lot of prayers and celebrations in India around that time. So
Wow. Oh,
yes.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
That's
I'm
why
honored.
that's why I'm so dressed up for today. Otherwise, I'm normally in simple clothes.
Oh, well, you look wonderful. So it's awesome. This
Thank
is
you so
so
much.
great. Thank you very much for having me on to chat
Oh my
about
God.
some wonderful topics.
Thank you so much. You're being so modest. I mean, I have to thank you. You have agreed to come to our platform and talk about raw veganism. So that is really good. Thank you so much once again. So, Lisa, the first question is like, I want to get right into it. Do you believe that everything begins in the gut?
I do. I mean, there's some stuff that's genetic and environmental, but I would say the majority of our health issues do begin in the gut because there's more of those bacteria cells in our gut than there are in our entire body. So
Right,
we aren't just human. We are human
right.
and bacteria. So we have to feed them. It's so important to feed our good microbiome, and they thrive on whole plant fiber. So a great variety, like to get as many different kinds of plant foods as you can, as you're able to, because I know not everybody has an amazing amount of variety, and it depends on where you are in the world. But if you can eat as many of those varieties that you're able to get, then you're going to be feeding a wide range of your gut microbiome, and they're in charge of 70% of our immune system, 90% of our serotonin, which is our happy hormone, and they convert vitamins and vitamins, not minerals, but they convert vitamins into other things like K1 into K2. They make vitamin B12. They do so much for us, like beyond what we even know, because we haven't fully dived into the science. It's a new science now. So there's so many things that we're learning, and we're like, wow, we really need to take care of our microbiome, and fiber is their fuel. So we have to feed them the fiber. I believe it's so important.
Wow, this is information that I didn't have. So like what you said was getting variety to feed the variety of the microbiome in your gut. This is news to me. So this is good. So tomorrow I'm going to go veggie shopping.
Yes, and there was a study where they showed that the people who eat the most variety, which was 30 or more different plant foods in a week, had the
Hmm.
strongest gut microbiome, had the strongest immunity, and produced the most serotonin. So the more variety that you get in your diet, the better they
Right.
are going to provide for you, because you're feeding them, they're going to feed you, right? So it's a
Okay.
symbiotic relationship.
Amazing. That is amazing. So do you want to quickly say hi to all your people? They're
Yes.
all joining in.
Hello, everybody. Awesome. It's going to be a really fun interview. So stick around.
Thank you so much.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
so Lisa, tell us, how was your diet while growing up? What was it like? Was it like typical American diet? What was it like?
Yeah, so my mom was really healthy. Like she ate a lot of plant foods, but she also ate a lot of animal products, like a lot more than I would think would be a good amount. But she was always focused on protein, protein, protein. Make sure you get your protein. My dad ate a lot of junk food. He was the fun parent because he'd bring home candy and he'd order pizza and so I did grow up with both kind of sides to it, but my
Okay.
mother got colon cancer and she's
Oh,
now vegan. Since she got colon cancer, she became vegan and it hasn't come back and it hasn't caused any issues. But she's like, I think it was because I was so focused on the protein thing. And she was always worried about getting enough protein. And now she realizes that she can't get enough. And she eats a very high raw, sometimes all raw, but she fluctuates, but it's very high raw plant-based diet. So that's really good. But yeah, I grew up eating all kinds of junk food. And once I moved out on my own, I started working at a natural health food store. So I was teaching people a lot about natural health, like mostly pills and supplements and diets and stuff. But I wasn't doing it myself because I was eating the junky stuff. And sometimes I would do raw, but I wasn't doing it because of the vegan thing. I was doing it because I resonated with the raw food, but I would always fall off. I would be eating too high fat. I wouldn't be eating enough calories. I didn't have enough variety. I was scared of
right.
fruit. Yeah, it just wasn't working. So eventually, when I went raw in 2014, it was after like the worst diet of my life. I was eating like a bag of Doritos for breakfast in the morning. I was eating candy from the store. Like I had just given up. I was like, I don't care if it's going to take all this work to be healthy. I don't care. But it came to a point where I was like having health issues and I was
Yeah.
scared of getting sick. So I had to change. And that's when I watched the 3 movies, Cowspiracy, Earthlings, and Forks Over Knives. And I became vegan overnight. Even though I already knew the vegan diet, I just never had that connection. And then when
Right.
I had the connection, it was like so easy to stick to it.
Wow.
But yeah, I ate everything. People are like, oh, but chicken is so good, you're missing out. I'm like, I know. I lived 40 or 34 years eating chicken and meat and animal products. Like I know what they taste like, but I'm not doing it for taste.
Right.
I'm doing it because it's
Right.
ethical. It's what I now believe, my morals, and I really enjoy raw food. So that's what I eat every day.
I know. My God, your page looks so beautiful. I mean, if you just scroll through, I have like a stomach full of, I'm just so satiated with your page that I don't need to
Oh,
eat anything.
oh, thank you so
So,
much. I know
um,
I have such a passion for photography and making food look pretty, and I just geek out on it. I get all like, I just love
yeah,
it. So I'm
it's
it's my
beautiful.
pleasure.
It's beautiful. So you were talking about your paradigm shift, the big paradigm shift that came 7 years ago. So what were the health issues and what was that, like you said, one night and you changed overnight. So what were the health issues? You put up some really before and after pictures, with all acne on all over your face and all that. And that is like a complete game changer, I'm sure, for all your followers, because a lot of people suffer from acne. So tell us about that time.
Yeah, so I had adult cystic acne since I was in my teens. So like really hard, they hurt, they were infected, and then it would get inflamed. And then I was anxious all the time because I was always living on edge and I was picking my face. Like it was just a mess. I was 70
Right.
pounds heavier. I was almost 200 pounds. My joints hurt all the time. Like just like I had to roll my ankles in bed in the morning just to get out of bed because they hurt so bad.
Oh,
And like I was never diagnosed with anything specifically because I was too scared to go to the doctor to get the diagnosis because I worked in natural
right,
health, so I knew the symptoms, I
right.
knew what was going on. And if I had to guess, I think that I probably would have been diagnosed with pre-diabetes or like onset diabetes because my sugar levels were crazy, my metabolism was off the charts, and just like all the symptoms of pre-diabetic. And I also believe that I had PCOS, the polycystic ovarian syndrome, because I had all the symptoms, all of them, perfect to a T. And I was so scared to go to the doctor because I didn't want to get the diagnosis. So I don't have a diagnosis, but all of those symptoms have disappeared. So yeah, and I lost 70 pounds. So what it was that moment, I was drinking like 1 or 2 energy drinks a day. I was eating the Doritos. I was eating junk food. I had given up. I was also drinking a lot of alcohol at the time, like little coolers and stuff. Like I mean, you could argue that I was an alcoholic. I wasn't like over indulging in it, but I was having it every day and it was becoming a problem. So one night I woke up in the middle of the night, and this was a regular occurrence, but I woke up with heart flutters, and they were like, it felt like I was having a heart attack. And this was a regular thing. I would wake up at 3 in the morning, and then I would think, what if I actually had a heart attack? What would it feel like? And then I wouldn't be able to get back to sleep because I was thinking about what it would be like to die. And I just hated sleeping at this time in my life because I was constantly feeling these things. So for some reason, that next morning I woke up and I said, that's it. I was 34 at the time. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to get I'm going to get really sick, or I'm going to die in the middle of the night because of my diet and what I'm doing to myself. So at that point, I had already tried and experimented with a raw diet for 10 years previously. Like I would constantly try. I did other diets too. I did like raw animal products. I did the keto stuff. I didn't do a whole food plant-based vegan diet because I never had the vegan connection, so I never tried that. But I always tried raw. I would do it over and over and over and over again and just never be able to stick to it. So when I woke up that day after the heart flutters, I was like, that's it. I'm going back raw again. I have to make a change. But this time was different because I was like, what did I do differently back then that I haven't tried this time? So I binge watched Fully Raw Christina on YouTube, and I watched those. I was reading in the comments, somebody said, to go vegan, watch those 3 documentaries. And I was like, okay, I'll watch those 3 documentaries. So after I watched all 3 of those, I was crying. I was like, I have to change. I can't be part of this anymore. So that's when I shifted to become vegan. And because I had never known any other vegan way of eating, I defaulted to raw because that's what I assumed vegans ate plants, right? So raw plants. So I became raw, and I also started doing the low fat version because I'd never done low fat. I was always scared to do low fat and high fruit greens and stuff. And lots of calories, like making sure that I was getting enough. And it was so easy to do because I was feeding my body and I was eating the appropriate amount of fats. I was eating a mix of both fruits and greens. I was doing lots of salads and lots of fruit. And it was just so easy to stick to it. It was just so wonderful. But that was my shift. It was becoming vegan that made the shift, because raw I just did naturally. Because I loved it. Yeah, I didn't do it because I had to. I did it because I wanted to.
Amazing, amazing. So the immediate, your immediate family around you, how did they react to it? And did they take this whole change in lifestyle easily, or was there a little bit of, a kind of, no, I can't do this kind of a thing?
Yeah, it was a bit 50-50. Some of them were like very accepting of my choices because I had always tried over and over and over and over again for decades. So they knew that they were probably rolling their eyes like, oh, she's just trying it again for the millionth time. But there was like, it would get to the point, like after about a month or so, they would start asking like, are you sure you're getting enough? Are you, why are you still doing this? Are you ever going to eat with us? And I'm like, I do eat with you. I just eat something different. It's not a big deal. But I feel like saying no became something that I had to keep my promise to myself. And the
Right.
more often I said no, the more they realized I was serious about my
Yeah.
choices. And with my dad was probably the biggest one, because he would always make something, be like, come on, try a little bit. And I'd be like, no, Dad, you know, I love you so much. Thank you so much for thinking of me. But it's not part of my journey, right? Like, I'm just not eating that
Mhm.
anymore. And I thank him and I give him love, because that's what people want. They want acceptance and love, and they want to know that they're still part of your life. For some reason, just
Yes.
because you choose to eat plants. But yeah, just giving them a lot of love and saying no and being consistent with it. Because before, in those 10 years before, I would always try to do raw. And then someone would be
Okay.
like, oh, you can have this little bowl of whatever. And I'd eat it. And then it would train them to know, like, oh, well, she's not serious. She'll say
Right.
yes once in a time. If we ask her enough times, she'll say yes. But if you say
Yeah.
no every time, eventually they catch on. And I was married at the time to someone, and he ate vegan because I made the food. I don't think he had done it ethically. He said he was doing it ethically, but when we split up, he went right back to eating animals. So I knew it wasn't ethical, but it was nice that he tried to support me in
Right.
that time, but he also didn't enjoy it. So I was like, oh, it was frustrating at times, but
Right.
I mean, we broke up for other reasons, obviously, but it was more staying true to myself, really, because it doesn't
Absolutely.
matter what we eat as long as we eat together and
Yes.
we can inspire others to make better choices. But I found there's four kinds of people when it comes to social stuff. There's the joker, who makes the jokes, who pokes fun and tries to laugh because they're uncomfortable with your choice. So they feel like they
Right.
need to make a joke to make themselves feel better about their choice. Then you have the
Absolutely.
debater, who questions everything you do, right? And they only do that because they're also scared of facing their choice. Then you have the
Yes.
bully, who makes fun of you, who makes you feel bad, who gaslights you, all that, because they feel bad about their choices. They're trying to justify their choices. And then you have the
Yes.
inquirer, who really actually wants to know about what you're doing. But yeah, I find most people, they just react because they're trying to protect their own choices. And your choice
Absolutely.
is just a reflection of their choice. So yeah.
Lisa, when you were talking about those four people, I actually pictured those in each of my friends' groups because I have the debater, I have the inquirer, I have the bully, I have the joker, I have everybody. So that is like so true. I have gone vegan about 2.5 years ago, and I've not ever, kind of gone back or, had the urge of, going back to chicken or egg or whatever. And what attracted me most to your page was that we have this practice called the sattvic way of living, which is more based on the Ayurveda, which is raw vegan, where they don't involve too much of, because Indian cooking is a lot of curries, a lot of overcooking everything. So I
I
know
love
it's yum.
curry so much. I love curries. And you can eat it raw. So that's like awesome. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So, the Sattvic is actually almost like, okay, barring a few, I mean, exactly what you're eating is what is, kind of said in the Sattvic practices. That is fruits, veggies, leafy sprouts, nuts, and seeds. That's it. So, so that's all. Yeah. So you are Sattvic, maybe barring a few, like maybe not mushrooms or something, but everything is there. So that is it. Okay, so Lisa, fantastic. Tell us, what are the immediate changes that you felt when you made your shift?
Oh, like for health?
Yeah, yeah,
So I lost 70 pounds.
yeah.
I cleared up my skin. I'm gonna be 42 in December,
Wow.
so I'm doing pretty good, I think.
You
um,
bet you are.
I never lost my hair. That's something that a lot of people notice. They'll start to lose their hair, but I think it's a combination of stress and not eating enough. If you don't eat enough
Okay.
on any diet, you'll probably lose your hair. But I never lost my hair. My joints feel amazing. I'm happier than I ever have been, and probably because my gut is happy, so it gives me happiness.
Wow.
My digestion has improved dramatically. I used to suffer from candida, gut dysbiosis, for 15
Okay.
years. And I did fasts and cleanses and kits, and because I worked at the health food store, so I had access to all of this stuff,
Right.
right? I
Right.
even did like the
Right.
zapper where it zapped the parasites in me or whatever. And none of it worked until I went raw and stuck to it and just said, I'm done with that way of life. I'm going to embrace the new and move forward and just accept it because that's real food that was made for us. And I feel so good now. And of course, I mean, we're never going to be like perfect, right? Because we're humans. We live in
Right.
this environment. There's toxic stuff in the air and all kinds of stuff, right? So it's not like we're ever going
Right.
to be perfect, but I feel so good that I never want to go back to eating the other stuff because that's what brought me to the place where I needed to change. So it's not even worth having
Absolutely.
in my diet in moderation at all. I don't believe in moderation. It's like either you have it in your diet or you don't. And
Don't.
I just prefer not
Absolutely.
to.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can't be moderation with veganism, and because you have said on your page that it is ethical, for ethical reasons that you went vegan. So, somebody wants to know, do you meditate? Do you practice meditation?
I do when I'm making food. I will go into like I'll meditate with just like more of a moving meditation where I'm actually really connecting with my food. I do sometimes will go through kind of a period where we meditate in the morning for about 10 minutes or so. And it is something that we want to incorporate more into our lives because we do realize it's like incredibly important. We just are trying to like figure out, because right now we're doing 75 hard, where we're trying to do 2 workouts a day and we're reading 10 pages in a book every night. So we're getting into that routine right now. And I think next time we do it, once we're finished these 75 days, we're going to add in meditation as like a mandatory thing that we do every single day as part of our challenge. Because doing the challenge has been really eye-opening as when it comes to scheduling stuff in. It's like, no, okay, when you wake up, this is what you do. So we fill
Yes.
our water, we go for our workout, we do the things every day because it's part of the challenge. So I think next time we're going to add in the meditation because it is really important. It's such a key.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So when you were saying that when you're working and then you are you're cooking your food and then you're trying to be present and all that, that's what. So I had done this online Vipassana course with the Yogi Lab, and Vipassana actually says this, what you're doing, that all you have to do is, okay, when you lock up yourself for 10 days and then do Vipassana, that's different. When you bring it to your life, it is what you exactly said it was, just pay attention to your breath, and you're already doing that. So yes, she is doing meditation, guys.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's really just being in the moment. Being completely in the moment with whatever you're doing, whether you're washing the dishes or folding the laundry or doing a workout or chopping your food. If you can zone in and just be with your food, it's like you don't need to sit for 10 minutes and meditate in
Absolutely.
like a clump of time. It's about being present because meditation is about being present with your breath and with
Right.
yourself and everything and all of that. So yeah, I find it's so comforting to just be in that moment and fulfilling. But yeah.
Great. Okay, so Lisa, tell us. So you started this for yourself. You saw the changes. When did you decide that you had to share this goodness and this magical healing things with the world? And tell us about your work.
Yeah, so I started Raw Food Romance in 2010, so 4 years before I became like committed to raw, because I was always trying. I was always trying and not make like it wasn't working for me. But I started on Twitter originally in 2010 because I was doing what I call daily raw affirmations, where I would put out an affirmation every day to convince myself to stay on. And I was like, well, if it helps somebody else out there, then that's great. So I would do that and I'd fall off and I wouldn't post for months because I'd be eating junk food or whatever. And then in 2014, when I went raw, I I joined a bunch of groups on Facebook where we were like connecting community and helping each other out and stuff. And I was learning a lot of stuff about raw as well, because you can't know everything, right? We need community to help to learn.
Yes.
So I was learning a lot in those groups. And then I started to lose weight and I started to feel amazing. And I was like making these recipes and I was having fun and I was communicating with my friends in this group that we were in a bunch of different groups. And eventually, like, I started losing the weight. So I was sharing before and afters and like, hey guys, look at what I did or whatever. And I would share my meals and share recipes. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And then they started asking me a lot of questions and I was getting the same questions over and over again. So I decided that it would be best if I just made a YouTube video answering the question. That way I could just send them a link and be like, here, watch this, instead of me typing up this big paragraph, right? And that's how my YouTube started. I started it about 4 to 5 months into my journey. Once my acne had stopped breaking out like crazy, then I started sharing a lot more on social media. And I started my YouTube channel, I started my Instagram and my Facebook page all around the same time. It was like 4 or 5 months into raw. And I was just sharing what I was doing. Like when I look back on my pictures, I'm like, oh my gosh, I would never. But it was part of the journey. And the whole thing is like, you don't have to be perfect right away. Like even if your pictures suck, even if you don't know what you're doing, like at least you're putting it out there and inspiring somebody, because I started to inspire people and they were like, ooh, I'm gonna try that and that's a great idea. And because we can take little bits from everybody and apply them to our own lives if it resonates. So I started doing that, and then just like my before and after pictures, once I had lost the 70 pounds after about a year, people were asking for meal plans and recipes. So I just started creating, and that's kind of just grew from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. That is amazing. That is beautiful. So how many lives have you touched? Like, do you have a count, or there is no count?
I
How
don't,
many
yeah,
clients
I
or
wish
whatever?
I could keep count because that would be so cool. But there's a lot of people who creep your page, right? They get in there and they watch and they listen and they don't like, they don't comment, they don't do anything. But you are changing their lives and you might never even know, right? And there's a
Right.
lot of people in my life that, like, for example, my uncle. I remember one time my uncle messaged and he said, you wouldn't believe, but like I went vegan. And I was like, what? He was like one of the last people. And my cousin too, my cousin Emery has lost 88 pounds in a year by just going vegan, high raw. Like he eats a lot of raw, but he does eat cooked foods and stuff. He was one of the people I never thought in a million years would ever go vegan. And he actually admitted to me, he said that in the past he used to make fun of me with his family and friends because he
Yeah.
thought I was so like why would you do that? And he loved meat and everything. But he helped me move all of my stuff from Canada to the United States when I immigrated to marry my husband. And he drove all of my stuff down. He stayed with us for like 3 days or something. And we fed him raw food. And he was just like, this is so awesome. And
Good.
he just loved our energy and how accepting we were of him and all of that kind of stuff. That he went home and it took him about 6 or 8 months of like kind of off and on trying vegan stuff. And then all of a sudden one day he was like, I'm going to go vegan now. And it's been over a year and he's been vegan and just, he's loving it. And you never know who you're going to impact. And I think it could be in the thousands. I'm guessing the thousands. And it's just every single one of these people, if they can help even 2 people, 1 or 2 people, then those people can help 1 or 2 people. And then we'll eventually be able to inspire everybody, right?
You're so
Eventually,
right.
hopefully.
Eventually, I tell you, Lisa, you're fantastic and so generous with your helpful information. This is Smiley Rose.
Rose,
You
yes.
have helped so many of us. There's
Oh,
work on Koila.
planting
Yes,
the
no,
seed.
because and every day what you post, Lisa, is so helpful. There was a post about what do you do when you go out? So I love that bit. You know, you can just eat and go. So you want to tell us about that again?
Yeah,
When you have to go.
yeah, so going out, I mean, there are places that you can go, but not very many. There's very little places. Like Nate and I found a place here in Vegas, and we actually talked with the chef, and he's willing to make us stuff if we call him in advance. So that's really awesome. It's like getting in contact with the chefs and what they can do. But
Yeah.
if you have to go out to eat, it's highly recommended that you just eat before you go, because the salads are going to be like this big, you're going to be hungry, and everything else is going to look really good. But if you go on a full stomach, at least you can have a small salad or whatever and still be able to eat with everybody without being starving, right? Another
Yes.
tip too is if you have the funds, which not a lot of people do, but you could order 2 or 3 salads. I've done that in the past. And I like to bring my own dressing. So I just ask for the
Okay.
greens, and then I'll add my own dressing sometimes. If I don't have that opportunity, like if somebody just randomly said, hey, come to this restaurant and meet us, and we don't have time to eat or anything, then we like
Yes.
to get, most places have avocado and tomato. So we kind of mush up kind of like a guacamole style with, like, we squeeze lemon juice in it with black pepper. That tends to
Mm.
be the easiest thing to do at pretty much any restaurant, and then just get like a big plate of greens, and at least you have something to eat. But eating before is so key, and not worrying about what everyone else is eating. It's more they are worried about what you're eating because they are faced with the fact that you're choosing something healthy and they're not, right? So
Yeah.
they're questioning their choice, and they need to put up walls and defend their choice, right? And you're like, I'm just eating greens. It doesn't matter, right? But yeah,
Yes.
it's hard to eat out, but it's
I
possible.
know.
It is.
Today, this is exactly what happened. You know, I took your advice. I had to go out for lunch with my friends to a Mexican place, and I knew it was going to be all cheese and everything. So I had my big raw smoothie without just water, seeds, and fruits and veggies. I just drank that up, 2 big mugs. And then when I reached there, we did salads, and everybody said, "Can you not just take away the cheese and then eat this?" I said, "No, I won't do that."
Yeah, there's actually there's a place that we used to go to in Oregon that was a Mexican place, and we just were like, we skipped all the meat and cheese, and we're like, okay, extra cabbage. Sorry, let me just I'm just plug my phone in here so it doesn't die on us. All right. So
Yeah.
we would have extra cabbage, extra lettuce, extra tomato. No, more tomatoes. Come on, more, 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 more. Yeah, that's good. Okay, more cucumbers. Yeah, cucumbers. It's just like loaded up on all the veggies, guacamole, salsa, and you're good to go. Like we didn't even need a dressing because the guacamole and the salsa does a perfect job. And they got to know us, and they're like, oh yeah, you're the salad people, right? So they would end up making us a big giant salad, which was great. But yeah, it is totally possible if you just ask. We went to a resort in Mexico for a friend's wedding. She was getting married, and
Yeah.
we're like, okay, well, we're going to a resort. What do you do then? You
Yeah.
can't go to the grocery store. You don't have your blender. And we basically, that's
Yeah.
what we did the whole time. The buffet had so many fresh foods. Like we ate a lot of fruit, obviously, papaya and pineapple and soursop and all kinds of good stuff. And then for lunches, we just went to the salad bar and took all the raw stuff and put it on a plate with guacamole and salsa, and we had a great time. It was
Yeah.
awesome. We were full, and people would walk by our table and be like, where'd you get that? Like, just at the salad bar. You can make it too.
Absolutely. Another one says, just watching. Yes, I love watching Lisa. She helps me daily to stay on track. That is so sweet. That is
That
so
is
sweet.
sweet. Thank you.
So, Lisa, tell us, what does your daily diet look like? Like you have done that on your Instagram page, but if you could just run that quickly by.
Yeah, so this has been the same for the last 7 years. The only thing that changes is the recipes, like how I prepare it, right? But it's the same ingredients pretty much. I just arrange them differently. But what I do is in the morning, first thing, I try to get the majority of my fruit calories in the morning. So big fruit smoothie or a bowl of chopped up fruit like mangoes and nectarines and bananas, all kinds of stuff. So we'll do that in the morning. And I aim for like 800 calories for breakfast, and then
Okay.
we'll snack on fruit. Lately, since we've been going for our workout in the morning, I'm having like 2 or 3, sometimes even 4 mangoes before the workout, and then we have our smoothie after. So it depends. Like sometimes we'll split the smoothie because we've already eaten like 600 calories of mangoes. So
Okay.
it just depends on the day. But for the most part, we do fruit in the morning for breakfast, and fruit only. We don't add anything else to it. Then we'll snack on fruit during our snacks. So if I'm working or whatever, I'll snack on grapes or chop up more nectarines, have some kind of fruit
Okay.
that we have that's in season and delicious. Then for lunch, that's when we do our lower fat, well, I call it a fruiting vegetable salad. So basically it's just lettuce with a ton of tomatoes and cucumbers and bell peppers, like all of the vegetables that are actually fruit, right? So it's tons
Right.
of those, and then a low-fat date-based dressing or fruit-based dressing. So like I'll blend mango with garlic and dates and a little apple cider vinegar and some curry
Yum.
powder, something like that to make like a mango curry. I've made with mango barbecue. I mean, I've got like 600 recipes, so there's a lot of ones to
Wow.
choose from. But so I'll make it fat free or very low fat. Like the only fat that I'll typically add with lunch is chia seeds. So just to get the
Okay.
omega-3 in there. But that's lunch. So it's a very low fat, high carbohydrate lunch, which helps us to sustain until dinner. So after lunch, if we feel like we need something, we'll snack on more fruit, or Nate will make nice cream or whatever. And then dinner is our heavier salad with a little bit of fats in it, and our darker leafy greens, more vegetables, more sprouts, more, or it's like a raw creation, like the raw burgers or raw
I
soup
love
or raw lasagna,
that.
something like that, right? We'll make something fun for dinner. If we don't have time, we just make a salad with a creamy dressing, and
Yeah.
that's that, avocado or whatever. But yeah, that's basically what it is. It's fruit in the morning, salad for lunch, and a salad or creation for dinner, and that's how it's been for 7 years, and it's great. Love it.
Oh, amazing. That is really cool. Do you have, Lisa, any of the great success stories of your clients? Somebody in particular that comes to your mind, somebody like who really, I mean, like you were lucky that you didn't have anything diagnosed at the time, but somebody who's like, you just talked about your mom, but some clients of yours who've turned their life around uh, with your kind of lifestyle.
Actually, the coolest story, I'll say my cousin has definitely been one of the ones that I am really proud of, just because of where he's come from, being like
Right.
really meat based and standard American diet. So he's been really an amazing story. But I feel like the best story that I have is my husband, because before we even met, he bought my meal plan book. And he
Oh.
just, because his mom had healed herself of cancer on a raw diet, and his son had gone vegan, and he went vegan with his son, but they were eating a lot of junk food. So one day he was skiing, and he was on the chairlift, like he was just skiing by himself. So when they put you on the chairlift, they put you with another single, so you both go up at the same time. And he met this guy named John, um, who was into living foods. Like he believed in all living foods, and they had a little chat on the way up to the ski hill. And he had cancer at 42 and reversed it eating a living foods diet. So like no fasting, none of that. He just did living foods. That's all he did. Lots of sprouts, like tons and tons of sprouts and greens and fruits and everything. And he reversed
Mhm.
his cancer, and he was now 86, had been raw for 44 years. And he was on the
Wow.
ski lift to a black diamond run. So at 86, 86, just incredible. So my husband was like, okay, I gotta do this. I gotta figure this out. And he got online and he found my book on YouTube. So he bought my book and he changed his lifestyle over just following my meal plan. He lost 60 pounds, And he met up
Wow.
with one of my friends and told the story. He's like, I love Lissa. She changed my life. And I didn't even know who this person was. And
Oh,
my friend got us in connection because he wanted me to do an interview of this guy on my channel. And when we met, we just like became instant best friends and we fell in love really
oh,
quickly. And we just got married.
wow.
So got married 2 years
Oh,
ago at the Woodstock Fruit Festival. But he's the ultimate transformation.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I didn't even know. See, that's the thing. You don't know who you're affecting. You put the content out there and it changes people's lives, whether you know it or not. And the only way I
Beautiful.
knew it was because my friend got us in connection with each other. So it's, yeah, it definitely, I'm so happy that he made those choices on his own, even before we met, and just
So
changed his
cool.
life. It's beautiful.
So cool. There is a question. Wendy says, I so appreciate your approach in teaching raw food lifestyle to everyone. I'm a Christian, and many raw vegans often their religious other views as though they're a part of it. Thank you so much. Okay. Also, do I need to take a vitamin if I go totally vegan?
Honestly, I would say it depends on where you live and it depends on your access to wild soil. So I believe that vegans should, and also meat eaters, like this isn't a vegan problem. B12 and vitamin D are two vitamins that are not supposed to be acquired from our diet. They're supposed to be acquired from our environment. So vitamin D from the sun, obviously, and vitamin B12 is actually made by a bacteria in the wild soils of the earth. But if you live in a city in the north, I mean, you don't have access to wild soils and you might not get a lot of sun exposure. So taking those vitamins is ideal on any diet. It doesn't matter if you're vegan or not. The problem is a lot of people who go vegan undereat. They dramatically undereat because they're getting rid of the animal products, and a lot of them get rid of processed food too, and they're left with not much and they don't know what to do and they don't know how much to eat and they end up undereating, which eventually leads to hair loss and deficiencies and all kinds of stuff. So it's about eating enough, making sure you get all those calories in variety. So lots of different variety. Fruits, vegetables, seeds, sprouts, nuts, whatever you need that's raw. You, even if people eat cooked food a little bit, that's fine too, but it's about getting as much raw as you possibly can get into your diet and getting that wide range of nutrition so you're nourished and you don't need to take a supplement unless you need to. Like, it just depends on the individual. But I think B12 and D are, I mean, we most of us live
Mandatory.
in cities, so yeah,
Okay.
unless you're living
And
out and you're like digging in your garden every single day and you get exposed to that, but not many of us get that
not
opportunity.
very. Right.
Yeah.
And do you ever saute your vegetables? Like they say, carrots, you need to kind of lightly saute, but do you saute your food some this or you just go completely raw?
No, I'm completely raw, but the coolest thing is that you can freeze vegetables like
Okay.
carrots or onions or celery, for example. And when you thaw them, that it's still considered raw because really all you're doing is expanding the fiber. It doesn't damage the fiber, it just expands
Mm-hmm.
it. So when it thaws, it's got a soft texture. So that's what I do for raw soups. I'll freeze carrots and onions and broccoli, cauliflower works really well. You freeze it, and then when you thaw it, just thaw it in a marinade and then add it to your soups, and it's got the same texture as cooked without being
Wow.
cooked. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Amazing. That is so good. Somebody wants to know, Bola Nile wants to know, do you fast periodically?
I don't do any fasting other than when I sleep. So that's the only time that my body is in a fasting state. Well, I wake up, I eat, I fuel my body, I get enough nutrients in, and I feel like I
Wow.
don't need to fast because my body just does all the natural detox by itself. And I
Okay.
also believe that I don't need to fast to be spiritual. Either, right? Because I can, like you said, like you can be in a meditative state just in your actions, whatever you're doing. So I don't need to get into that state to experience that. I can experience it while eating whole, real foods anyway. So I actually haven't done anything like that in the 7 years that I've been raw, and I don't foresee myself doing any of that. I have in the past, but it would always damage my gut microbiome because you're starving them of the fiber. So it's like one of those controversial subjects a little bit, but I personally don't, just because I just rather feed my gut good bacteria.
No, because you know what you're saying, under eating. I think a lot of people do that. Even I am doing that because I just feel that, okay, you just have to eat like, say, a bowl. I mean, I saw the size of, the last meal that you made. Give me more, give me more, give me more. I was like, I was like, oh my God, I'm eating just like 1/5 or something of that big salad bowl that you were eating. So I'm always constipated. So I think I'm just going to, double, triple my intake, and I think that's going to feed a lot of fiber. There
Yeah.
is one, sorry, go on.
Oh, I was gonna say that's like a typical sign of under eating is constipation too, because you're not getting enough bulk to have everything
Mhm.
pass through easily. And that's the number one reason why people aren't able to sustain a healthy lifestyle, is because they're just not eating enough. So they're constipated, or they get cravings, or they end up with deficiencies and they just can't go on. So they end up going back to what they were eating because it's not sustainable. All they have to do is eat more, and it's hard to wrap our minds around it because we're so used to, in society, eating smaller portions, or that's the size of a big salad, but it's like that's like a third of what I eat. But it takes time to work up to it too, because you do have to work with your gut microbiome, and if there isn't enough of them in there to digest a big salad, it's hard to eat a big salad because you get gassy and
Right.
bloaty and stuff. So it's just about going slow, increase it slowly through the weeks, and just work your way up.
Absolutely. There is this one question from Arya. I am under eating pretty bad right now and I want to eat more, but I find it hard to eat in the morning. So I lose hours where I could eat, where I ate 800 calories. Do you have any recommendations?
I would recommend start eating, like, say you start eating at noon or whatever, then your first meal the next day should be like 11:45. And then the next day could be 11:40, and then the next day it could be 11:30, and then the next day, like, work your way down instead of trying to eat it all right first thing in the morning. Because if you're used to that, your body is used to that, and your body is intelligent. It will adapt to the food you're eating. It's not telling you that
Mhm.
it's okay to eat at noon. It's not hungry until noon because you're not eating in the morning. So your body
Right.
adapts to what you're eating, not the other way around. So you have to train your body that it's okay to be hungry in the morning. And there are a lot of studies that show people who don't eat, who don't have an appetite, if they are forced, which isn't good, you don't want to force yourself, but if they are forced to eat in the morning, after about a week or so, they actually feel hungry in the morning because their body is
Yeah.
like, oh, there's food in the morning. Okay, well, now I can ask for it. So it's that restrictive mindset where you go too long without eating because you're not hungry because you're not eating. So
Right.
it's like a circle that keeps going and going and going until you break it by starting slower and slower and slower, closer and closer and closer
Okay.
to the morning, and then should be good.
That would be good. There is a question, do you sprout your lentils or other?
Yes, I love sprouted lentils. All kinds of sprouted lentils. The sprouted lentils are so nutritious and they're hydrating. They've got the protein in there. But we sprout all kinds of stuff. We sprout lentils, we sprout mung beans and chickpeas and broccoli, radish, cabbage. We've got like a whole cupboard full of variety because we're all about variety, right? So it's like as much variety as you can get in, the better. And yeah, lentils are sprouted. We do use sprouted lentils almost every day.
And that's where you get your proteins from. So we can tell all the non-vegans that ask you, where do you get your proteins from? So yes, lentils.
Right? I also say, like, there's protein in everything too. Like, if you add
Yeah.
everything up on Chronometer, there's like protein in bananas, there's protein in greens, there's protein in nectarines and pineapples and nuts and seeds. Like, it's in everything. So it's not about how much you get from like one thing, it's more about how much you get from everything, right? It's all
Right.
combined together, but people don't eat enough.
Yeah.
That's the problem. They don't eat enough, so then they don't get enough, and then they have problems. So, oh, Enzyme's got his sprouts or his lentils sprouting right now.
That is so cool. So I think we're almost close to an hour. So just before we have our last messages and last questions, I want to tell everybody, everybody that is joining us from Raw Food Romance, Lisa Marris, please follow our page. That is the Paradigm Shift. We bring you beautiful stories like Lisa that inspire the society, do good for themselves and others, and with their paradigm shifts, which is so cool. And everybody that is joining us, who will be watching the video later, please follow the Raw Food Romance. They have some amazing, amazing recipes, and you're going to be, healed completely. I mean, I love your page, Lisa. I love your
Oh,
page.
thank you so much. That's so wonderful. I'm honored. I love to be able to show people how beautiful it can be to eat whole raw plants, because that's what we really should be eating. And we've got we're in Vegas now, and just like down the road, there's this place called Heart Attack Grill where you can eat for free if you're over 350 pounds, and they dress you in hospital gowns, and they tell you to pay cash because you might not live eating there. Like, it's the state of the world. I'm just scared for humanity, and it's those kinds of things that are such a major problem in our world today. And if I can just shed and be like, have like a little light and show like you can enjoy a salad and eat more raw and try to inspire your friends to be healthy as well, and love them where they're at, because that's the ultimate way of helping someone change, is to love them where they're at. If you love them where they're at, they're more likely to accept your perspective. If you're like, no, you're doing it wrong, this is wrong, blah, 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 they're going to shut down and they're not going to want to listen. But if you love them into it and you say, oh, it's all good, but how about you try this salad? It's delicious. Oh my gosh. And they're more likely to listen to you because you're coming at it from a loving perspective instead of telling them what to do, right? We never want to be told what to do. We want to be inspired to do it ourselves.
Absolutely, yeah. That is like, because my mom is at a stage where she needs to be starting to lose weight. So she wants this, what you just exactly said. She needs to be loved into, going vegan or going raw or something, because yes, at that age. Do you eat potatoes at all?
I don't. Actually, the only time that I've had a raw sweet potato is to create a recipe. I did make like a sweet potato soup for my soup book, and what I did was I used sweet potato and I just chopped them into cubes and froze them for about 24 hours, and then I thawed them into the soup, so they weren't cooked. But I don't use potatoes otherwise. I don't eat potatoes, I don't eat grains, I don't eat bread, I don't eat pasta, I don't eat any of that stuff. And not to say that it's bad or that I'm scared of it. I just don't, I prefer to eat raw food. I feel way better on raw food, so that's what I choose. It's just easy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is so good. So if there are any questions, please let us know. Lisa, before we end, would you give us one last message to everybody that's going to be watching?
Yes. My last message would be to take care of yourself, because if you take care of yourself, you can easily take care of others, because we always put others first, right? Our family, our friends, our this, our appointments, our this, our that. And we're like giving from an empty cup. But we have to really like sit back and say, I'm important. Each and every single one of you watching is important, incredibly important, and you have incredible power. But you have to fill your own cup up first before you can give to others. It's just like, when you're in an airplane and they're like, if the air comes down, put yours on first before helping others. Because if you don't help yourself first, you can't effectively help others. You're just like stressed out and overwhelmed and overworked, and then your health starts to decline, which hurts your family and friends, because if you're sick, they are stressed out too. So really take care of yourself. It's not something selfish. It's something that you are doing. If you can be full and healthy, then you can help others be full and healthy too.
Beautiful. That is so beautiful. One Mr. Park says there's Janmashtami going on in India. Yes, it is. Happy Janmashtami, everybody. So Lord Krishna is born, and he was one of the gods that was he had all the 16 qualities. So I will, if you want to know about that, I will send you something on the DM that was beautiful. You know, everything what you said and more, that was embodiment and forgiveness and everything. It was beautiful. So thank you everybody for joining. Thank you, Lisa. You were so good as usual. Thank you so much for doing this.
We'll have to do this again sometime for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night. Have a good day. Have a great week ahead. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. You're amazing, Lisa.
Oh,
There's Northern Lights.
Likewise.
Bye. See you. Bye-bye. Take care. Thank you, Lisa. Bye.